hopefully going on slightly early to make it all work doesn't knacker anything. Welcome to episode 160 at Mighty White's podcast. As always, I'm Jack, joined by Casey.
Now then.
And to give it its Simpsons title, New Angle, Junior Furpo eats power source bar, becomes world's mightiest man. I didn't have time to think of one that actually was in context. I just had to use a Simpsons quote. So, how's things, mate? You all right?
Yeah, not bad. Not bad. Just a less stressful week.
Yeah, it says a lot that this week, in terms of work, has been an absolute nightmare and everything like that, and it's still far less stressful.
Yeah, I kind of want football back.
Yeah, I mean, I literally, I'm dying to have it back. I forgot how much I hate it once Leeds aren't playing. I probably look like I'm in bits because I've literally, at the 10.5-hour mark of my 8-hour shift, got a message off you going, "So podcast?" And I had completely forgotten. So there aren't notes, there aren't anything. I've very quickly listened back to our predictions because it turned out all the notes I wrote at the time are on a different laptop that I no longer have. Oh, it's been all over the shop, but it's all good. And as you know, just not doing the prep doesn't knacker you. You'll just narrowly avoid disaster.
Yes. That was the plan.
Yeah. So the one thing that we don't have because of the rush is we do not have our actual match results because I haven't had time to sort it. So basically what we're going to see is if this is even close. And if it's close, I will then add them up and have to say next week whether we won or not. But we should quickly get into the news. It was pretty much... The Aronson deal was pretty much done, wasn't it, last time?
Yes, because it was announced straight after kickoff. Straight after full time, wasn't it?
Yeah, but that's
We've survived. We've signed someone.
Yeah, that has now actually been confirmed. It seems to be a deal that everyone is happy with. I'm assuming you are as well.
Yes, for a start, it's a centre mid. Always, always a.
Well, I mean, you say that he's not going to be playing as a 6 very often.
No, we're just going to play with all 10s all the time.
Yeah. But it's a five-year deal. They say undisclosed fee, but it was like 25 million, wasn't it, roughly?
Yeah, a good bit of business, I think. Decent amount to pay for someone who will probably be straight into the first team. Young as well, so 5-year deal is probably worth it. And you would imagine if the first couple of seasons go well, there will either be an extension or he will be sold.
Or he'll be buggering off.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, I still think Rafinha's off, but I'm starting to think it won't be Barcelona.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad enough now that they were trying to get him on the cheap, but the fact they can't even get contract extensions through. The grizzled part of my brain is thinking it's Barcelona. I'm sure this situation will magically sort itself out in a few weeks.
Yeah, there is always a worry and stuff like that. Because what is it? They've signed Frank Kessie and someone else, and they can't register them. And they also can't register Sergio Roberto's new contract. Which you would think, in terms of... Apologies, need to move some stuff around. In terms of, Barcelona money, you would think that Sergio Roberto is not exactly the most expensive guy in the world.
No, but clearly they have far exceeded their allowances at this stage.
Yeah, and with Phillips, we're still no closer to knowing. I personally think he'll go, and it'll be to Man City, but we don't know yet. The thing that we've seen now is that we are being linked with anyone who's ever been to America or anyone who's ever been to Salzburg.
I've not been there.
Yeah, it seems like a fair enough reasoning, but what is it? The right back from there, we are now being linked with. And because I didn't have time to write notes, I'm having to find it. Christensen, that's his name, isn't it?
Yes.
We are being quite strongly linked with him, which makes quite a lot of sense. And he looks decent. He looks a little bit limited technically, but he put up really good numbers. And also, you don't need to be technically amazing to sort of play right back in a Marsh system. It's why Robin Koch did quite well.
Yeah, I suppose this is the opposite of the Frank Lampard model with Chelsea, that he knows the club. Get players in that know the system. So just get the band back together, move Salzburg to Leeds, get them all in.
Yeah. He's been quite heavily linked, and now that they have lost the playoff final to Nottingham Forest, Lewis O'Brien immediately was linked again, and he apparently has a £10 million release clause. Based on what I've seen of him, we should be definitely taking that up. Because at £10 million in the Premier League, you're not buying, oh my God, automatic first choice has to play every week. 10 million is a squad player, and in the Premier League, as depressing as this is, it's a relatively cheap one.
Yeah, and those are the sorts of gaps we need to be filling in our squad at the moment as well, because you're looking at, if you were to go off our central midfield options now, you've got Click, Dallas, Forshaw, who are all the wrong side of 30.
Yeah.
Then there is Phillips, who is the one player in his prime. And then it's Lewis Bate. And, we all like Lewis Bate, but we kind of need something more in the middle.
Yeah.
So, Lewis O'Brien, 23, still got time to develop. Like you say, I don't think he would be a signing that would be straight into the first team necessarily, but we do need to bridge that gap in those positions.
Yeah. We have had a question off a friend of the podcast, Alex Bennington. What would you think of Noah Lang as a Rafinha replacement? From everything I've read and seen, he looks like a really good player. But one, it's a bit awkward because he still hasn't apologised for singing that song, which isn't good. But more importantly, I think he's off to Milan anyway. So, yeah, that would be a shame. I mean, I assume Rafinha's going somewhere. I've no idea where. We'll see what happens with that. We are being linked in the way I did say on the last one. Orta has his players that he likes, and we are being linked once again. Obviously, Lewis O'Brien. We are being linked with a load of names from before. One that we forgot to mention last time that makes all the sense in the world is Takumi Minamino, who I would absolutely snap your hand off for. I think he's a really good player. And we have now officially been linked with Che Adams, which I said would happen.
Yeah,
would you want one or both?
Minamino, I probably would. It would very much depend on the fee for Che Adams because I don't know. I don't think he's what I would be wanting as one of our first choice strikers. And I feel like to get him away from Southampton, we would probably have to pay a fair bit for him. And I don't think it's the key position we need to be spending a lot of our resources on right now.
Yeah. I think that's everyone we've been majorly linked with. The right back sounds like the most likely goer in all of that. We've still been linked with Calvin Ramsey from Aberdeen as well. But I think it'll probably be, now that we've got the one announced early, I think it'll probably be a week or so before we start hearing about anything like that. Has there been anything news-wise other than saying if you haven't donated any money to the Square Balls fundraiser that you should, if you can?
No, not that I can think of right now.
Yeah, because obviously this is, when I say no prep, normally I have 10 minutes or something. I have not today. So we can just get straight into what we had as our predictions. Obviously there'll be some of these I think we can. I think everything other than player of the year and young player of the year, we are able to answer whether this is right, and I'll have to try and keep a running total somewhere on my laptop while we do this.
I mean, I think it's safe to say, at least with player of the year, that was Raf.
I mean, it should be, but we don't know yet.
It was
one
Raf.
thing,
and he's
one
only
thing
24. You know what? Young player of the year.
Yeah. I obviously, so because it was on the old laptop, I very quickly before this started got the old podcast up, managed to find roughly where we started. Anyway, the last thing before we actually got into our predictions was both of us saying we won't do as well as last year, but we won't be sucked into a relegation battle.
And then we never got above 15th in the table.
No, and then we never got there at all at any point. So we had us top four. By the way, apologies if my daughter crying is coming through in the background. Yeah, the normal thing, 5 points for top four places and 10 if you've got them in the correct position. Both of us in fourth place were wrong. Can you remember what you went for?
I've not a clue.
Because we both said the same thing.
Did I say Spurs to finish fourth?
No, and that would have been really nice if you had, because that definitely wouldn't have been wrong. We both said Leicester.
Oh, okay.
Would finish fourth.
My thinking that they were finally going to actually make it stick in the top four.
And this time they didn't throw it away at the end of the season. They threw it away earlier in the season.
Yeah.
Third place, I had Liverpool, which was wrong, but 5 points because they were in the top four. KC, you had Chelsea.
Ooh.
Which is 10 points. I should probably open a table just to check I'm right about these things. So yeah, 10 and 5. KC, second place, you had Man City, 5. I had Chelsea, 5. You winning it, you had Liverpool, 5. I had Man City, 10.
I mean, it's a moral victory for me there. I've heard they're the best team in Europe.
Michael Owen is absolutely steadfast in that position, and who are we to argue with him?
Yep.
Yeah. So yeah, we're both on 20 after that. What would say we talked about Spurs, and both said they wouldn't get in the top four because Nuno is not a good pick to be manager.
We were right about that.
Yeah, they did end up getting fourth, but we were right about the Nuno bit. So that's not the worst. Relegation places again, 5 or 10 if it's in the correct spot. KC, 18th, Southampton.
Technically, again, I think I'm right.
If it had been a 42 game season, I think that you would have been dead on. Like they had thrown it away.
Yeah.
18th Newcastle, 19th. You've got 18th Southampton, 19th Brentford.
I'm doing well so far.
And 20th Norwich. So that one's at least all right.
At least I got that one bang on.
But by the end, by the end. I didn't realise they only actually came bottom by 1 point.
God, which is Watford was so bad.
Yeah. I had 18th Newcastle, 19th Watford, 20th Norwich. So I get 20, you get 10. I did specify I will continue to pick Newcastle while ever they have a combination of Mike Ashley and Steve Bruce. And I mean, they were bottom when they got rid of them. So it wasn't the worst shout that anyone's ever had. We had top scorer in the Premier League.
I think I would have just gone Harry Kane, or did I go Lukaku?
You did go Harry Kane.
Okay.
You only get points for top 2. Harry Kane, unfortunately for you, was 4th.
Yeah, well, he didn't basically start actually playing until about November.
No, but what I would say is he did a damn sight better than my pick of Romelu Lukaku.
Well, that was my concern.
Who isn't even on this page.
Yeah.
And also was still playing for Inter Milan when I picked him.
Yeah. It's unfortunate, is that one, because I think we both tipped him to do quite well.
Yeah. We're going to have most assists in the Premier League. I will say that neither of us got it. That's one thing I can say for certain.
Did I go Kevin De Bruyne?
No, we both said we should go for De Bruyne, and then neither of us did. You had 15th place, which on 7, Son Heung-min, which I think went in hand with your Harry Kane one.
Yeah.
Although you did say either that or whoever they get to replace Harry Kane, because there was a very decent chance of him not being there at that point. And I don't know how many he ended up with, but it certainly wasn't enough. I think he got 3. I had Rafinha. So, there might have been a little bit of a...
We're still on a high.
Yeah. That's something that I need to check when it actually happened. Because our next one is first manager to go.
They all seem to happen, like, once one fell, a few seem to go. I'm pretty sure.
I have got a list. Wait, do you know who you went for?
No, I'm gonna say that. I'm trying to think who I would have gone for now. I'm gonna go for Steve Bruce. This is now me trying to pick who I picked.
Yeah, you trying.
It's become a sub game.
Yeah, just checking the score so far. So it's 40-30 to me at the minute. Right, yeah, you didn't go for Steve Bruce. Steve Bruce was second by 17 days. But you went for Mikel Arteta.
Ooh.
And there was a point after because didn't they lose the first 3 games?
I think so, yeah.
And we're bottom at league. There was a point where it looked like it might be right. But I'm assuming that this one will have probably been 5 points. But I got this right. Because if they're in the league and you don't know, you go for Watford's manager. And Cisco Munoz. Cisco Munoz was sacked October 3rd after losing at Ellen Road. And that's who I had. For the FA Cup, you had Everton. Obviously, they had a bad season. What I would say is
they made the quarters. You did
say, I'm going to go for one of the teams that isn't in like league contention.
And clearly that was a terrible idea.
Yeah. My idea was a bit better because I get 5 points for the losing finalist. I had Chelsea. But you get those back on the League Cup because for that, you had Chelsea. And both of them were losing on penalties after a 0-0 with Liverpool. For the League Cup, I had Man City because up until this year, they win it every year.
What was this year meant? Was this year going to be 5 in a row if they'd have done it or something like that?
Yeah, it did indeed. For the Champions League, you know who I'll have gone for, and I will be going for it next year because I'm going to pick Man City every year until they win it. And they didn't. Have you any idea who you went for?
No. Not clear.
You weren't sure who you were going to go for, so we went on a bit of a tangent and found ourselves talking about PSG's squad this year and how ridiculous it is. And you ended up going for Paris Saint-Germain.
Okay.
But the choice quote is KC, of course, very confidently saying, because you can't pick Barcelona or Real this year. I mean,
it's unfortunate.
So no points there. So 50-35 to me at the minute. Europa League. You went for a team that you weren't even sure were in it at the time, and then had to look up that they were. You went for Lyon. I'm not sure how far they got.
Oh God.
and I went for Leicester City, who did get to like the quarters, didn't they, or something? You said it, and you did talk about West Ham during it, but like almost as in, could you imagine how ridiculous it would be if they got anywhere near? What happened there?
Oh, sorry. The orange screen I have on my TV has flicked over onto another orange screen, and it just stuck an advert in there.
Ah, right.
Leon made the quarterfinals at least.
So yeah, that's not too bad a shot. I think we both got quarterfinalists, which isn't a bad go.
And you know what? They only actually lost the one game, so I've got to give them that.
Yeah, so not terrible. Europa Conference League. We've been on about what we went for all season, and then I've listened back to it, and that isn't what happened.
Yeah, because I thought we'd both gone with Roma.
Yeah, so did I.
Because again,
I did.
Jose loves a cup.
Yep, I did.
Oh God, that makes me worry about where I went with this.
I went for Roma because Mourinho getting 10 points in the process.
Mm-hmm.
I think that you'd been playing FM or something because you went for Anderlecht.
Okay, I can see why I would have thought that. They're a big name in that competition.
Yeah, I did also talk about very briefly how I'm really looking forward to seeing how Bodo Glimt do because they're playing some really good stuff, and they did beat Roma 6-1.
It clearly motivated them.
Yeah. So that's 60 to 35.
I'm sorry. Just as I look at this, Anderlecht did not make the group stage.
Oh, did they get beat in the qualifier? Because one other thing that I've noted down. At the time we made this prediction, because of the way it worked and how it was some to qualify for it, and others were the losers of other things.
Yeah.
At the time we made the prediction, there was not one team confirmed to be in the Conference League.
Yeah, so Anderlecht beat Lecce of Albania in the third qualifying round, which then put them into the
powerhouse.
Yeah, but after a 3-3 draw at home, they were knocked out by Vitesse Arnhem in the second leg.
Well, one thing that I don't know, because you did the likely, unlikely things, and then I got you to answer them yourself. So, are we doing sort of 5 for each?
Yeah, sure.
Cool. The first one was Klassen to play 2 or more league games. I said yes. You said no. He played 1. And you didn't say start. You said play.
Yeah.
So 5 points for you. Excluding Calvin Phillips, Bamford and 1 more Leeds player to play for England.
I don't. Pat Bamford played in the summer, didn't he?
But Bamford's game. It was after this.
Yeah, he played in the first. I think he played in like the first set of games after this.
Yeah,
and then he was injured, and I'm pretty sure like that's it then for us.
Yeah, it is indeed. I said unlikely. You said likely because you talked about Ayling, but I think you were really pinning your hopes on Jack Harrison. From the way you were talking,
the numbers don't lie.
Yeah. So that's 5 each so far. Jamie Shackleton to start a league game in central midfield, which was a key addendum. I haven't looked this up, but I don't believe he did.
No, I don't remember him starting a game at centre mid.
No.
I don't remember him coming on as a centre mid.
No, me neither. But I said likely. And I did say, I think it'll only be 1, but I think you will. You said unlikely, so 5 points for you. Leeds make a first-team signing in January.
I said likely, didn't I?
No, you said unlikely. Gaining you 5 points. I said likely, which was wrong. But I did say likely because we haven't done enough in the summer.
which was
So-
true.
I was right about that. Yeah. Both of us don't get anything because we said, will we make the FA Cup fourth round? And we both said yes, which we didn't. So that's 5 for me and 20 for you. I think. No, 5 for me and 15 for you. Right. So 65 to 50. For 5 points, a question that I literally said, I'm only putting this in because we do it every year. There's no point asking this question because we know the answer. Will Bielsa last the season? Both of us said yes, didn't even discuss it, and I became sad.
Yeah. I don't think any of us wanted it to come to this.
No, we didn't even discuss it as an option that he wouldn't last the season. It was if we'd have been given odds as a bookie, we'd have been saying like 1 to 50. There was we wouldn't even buy into the chance that it might not happen. We then have the various how many goals will people score, and you said all competitions. So, but I have a feeling all of these are going to be too high anyway. Patrick Bamford. I mean, you're going to know what happened here.
Yeah. To go for about 14.
Pretty good guess. You went for 15. I went for 13. The actual answer was 2. So no points there. Rodrigo.
9.
I went for 8. He got 6. You went for 6.
Oh.
And I'm trying to remember. I think it's 10 in it dead on. And 5 within 1.
Mm.
So that gets you 10. Obviously, I was 2 off, so I don't get anything for that. Rafinha. Do you think you have an idea what you went for?
10.
No, I went for 10. He did get 11, so I get 5 points. You went for 7.
Okay.
Which isn't too bad. Jack Harrison.
Oh, like 25.
You did jokingly say 27, and then
That sounds all right.
And then revise it. In the end, no one gets any points because I went for 5 and you went for 8. And if this is right, which I'm assuming it is, yeah. He must have got one in the cup, but I don't remember. Oh no, I'm looking at the wrong column. Yeah, he got 10.
Yeah.
And I think didn't he get all of them this calendar year?
He did have a very good run. I couldn't swear that it was all in one calendar year.
Yeah, because he got like the hat trick at West Ham was just after New Year, wasn't it, and stuff like that.
In fact, yeah, his first goal of the season was Burnley at home.
Ah, right, cool. So yeah,
that is true.
So you were a bit unlucky there to just miss out. You're also a bit unlucky on this one. Mateus Click. I went for 7 because I said he's the one player that I thought looked decent in pre-season. You went for 3, which was slightly too many because he got 1.
Yeah.
So nothing for that. And Tyler Roberts. I went optimistic as fuck and went for 6. And KC gets another 10 points for his correct shout of 1.
Oh, a vital goal against Brentford.
Yeah. So
I say vital. He put us in the lead.
So then
that clearly key game of the season. That one.
Yeah.
3 injuries. Robert's only goal. It all happened.
Yeah, which that makes it 65-55 to me, which I think I'm probably going to have to add up all the other points for next week when I have a bit more time. because that's all the goals, and you getting 2 dead on. Really jumps it up. And that though this I think you're right. This one I think was a 5.1. This one I think you're right, but we might have to check. But I think you're right. First new international cap.
Oh, I'm struggling to think of that one. Because when we did this, we won't have had.
It was basically just before, that international break that they had. Was it just before the first game of the season?
Yeah, it must have been. But yeah, we won't have had Dan James at this point.
No.
But
and he wouldn't have been a new international anyway because he played.
No, I've not got a clue.
You went for Patrick Bamford, who did then play in that international break.
Oh, okay.
Because that was when he got his cap. I went for Klassen, who did get picked in that because he was already in the Norway squad. But the thing is that I think that you're right with Bamford because I think everyone else that got picked for the international side already had a cap. Before then. So I think that's right. So that's 65-60. And this one, I've just looked up. It took a while. First under-23 league debut.
Did I go with Sam Greenwood?
No,
I would have gone with Cody Drammer.
No, that's who I went for.
Oh.
I went for Cody Drammer. I did specify I would be going for Gelhardt if he hadn't got injured in pre-season, which he did.
A sign of things to come.
Yeah, so I went for Cody Drammer. And you went for Crescencio Somerville, who hadn't played yet. So anyway, I went through his first few games of season. The correct answer is Somerville away at Newcastle.
Ah.
So you were right, which I believe puts us at 65 apiece. And then, well, we can't do Player of the Year or Young Player of the Year because they haven't been given yet. For what it's worth, you went Harrison, I went Rafinha. For Young Player, I went Strauch, you went Meslier.
I feel like you will probably get Player of the Year, and I will probably get Young Player of the Year there.
I think it'll be a public. There's a decent chance of it being a public vote, so he'll do it. We both went for Bamford top scorer. Obviously, he was injured all season, and neither of us were close enough with the finishing position to get any points. Do you remember what you went for?
I'm guessing either 12th or 13th.
You went for 10th.
Ooh, again, optimistic.
And I went for 12th. But what I would say is, after we did that, we then had a conversation on the podcast that was, I feel like we're both being optimistic here. And we're still going for lower than we were last season. Which says a lot about our confidence levels. So I think that we did know that it was going to be worse. It just turned out to be a lot worse. So
it's daft now as well to think that if we finished this season with the points total we got last season, we'd have been playing Europa League football next year.
Yeah, what was it? Didn't Scum this season get less points than we did last season?
Yeah.
Yeah, which is ridiculous. So an incredibly even predictions.
Very frustratingly as well that we didn't do the Football League ones because as many as I would have got wrong, I finally would have been right on Sunderland getting promoted.
Yeah, true, because you absolutely would have gone for that. 100%. I would have... Luton probably would have been my dark horses for the playoffs, but we didn't go up in them. So it wouldn't have mattered. Yeah, so that's all predictions. I reckon this year we haven't had any embarrassing ones, I don't think.
No.
The only ones where we're miles and miles and miles off are Bamford, and that's because he's been injured all season.
Yeah. Brentford have had a solid season when I predicted them to go down. But
you predicted them to finish.
It's not as if they've done a Sheffield United in the first year, and no, it's quite good. Yeah, I'll take that.
Yeah, obviously we will do that again just before the season starts, which won't even be that long because won't the season start in like July this year?
It will be. It does start early, doesn't it? I don't know if it's as early as July, but
I know that it's going to be early for certain. So one thing that we can do, although the club haven't done it, who would be your player of the year?
It's probably got to be Raf.
Mm.
Just having a look here. Premier League season starts on the 6th of August.
It might be then that, like, in that case, the Football League season might be end of July.
But yeah, for player of the year, I think it has to be Rafinha. Even he's had his down points in this season, but he's been far and away better than anyone else who's been starting with any regularity. I'm trying to think who you'd have close to him.
Yeah, that's what I was trying, because I think it's Rafinha as well. I was trying to think if there is someone else.
I don't know if you do it based on his sort of the aesthetic of his performances. Like Jack Harrison's actually put up decent numbers again this season, but there were also long periods of him being fairly ineffective.
That was one thing that we didn't talk about, just with you mentioning him. That was one of the transfer stories going around, that both Spurs and Newcastle want Jack Harrison.
Yeah, I wouldn't be letting him go.
No, not unless it's silly money.
No, I don't think that you can really lose both. I know we're going to move to a more centralised system, I think, more permanently next season, but I don't think you can have the two players who've been playing those roles since Marsh has come in both go.
Yeah. And Harrison does appear to have adjusted quite well, which I didn't think he would, because he was even more go stand on the touchline than Rafinha was. But he seems to have adjusted quite well to coming in field.
No, and I think, if I remember rightly, I think these two seasons combined now, he has the second highest goal involvements behind Rafinha.
Yeah, I can actually check. I'm pretty sure that's right. Rafinha has 14 total. He has 12 total. And third is Dan James with 9. Which you wouldn't have thought, would you?
No. Everyone obviously knows how much I love Jack Harrison, but I don't think you can have both him and Rafinha leave in the same window. I think it'd be bad.
Yeah. An unsurprising stat that I've just been able to get up here. Well, one's a dick answer, and then there's like, if you put a minimum number on. Who has the best points per game in the Leeds squad this season?
I assume it'd be. Ooh. Is it Sam Greenwood?
It is not. And when you think about it, it's a really obvious answer.
Well, the other one. The other one I was thinking of was Joffrey.
No, Christopher Classen. He only played one game.
Yeah.
But if you put in like a minimum 10, minimum sort of 10 appearances on it. Yeah. With minimum 10 appearances, even though he hasn't had the best of seasons, it's Calvin Phillips. Oh, in fact, him and Bamford are joint, and they've both been missing most of the season.
Yeah, I mean that was the thing after Phillips goes out injured. That run up until after the Aston Villa game, we were dreadful.
Yeah, But yeah, that I think says a lot that they're of the people that played a lot. They've got a decent record. By the way, 1.5 for Helder Costa before he buggered off.
All right, then. Yeah, like you just look. There's the. I'm trying to see where it is now. The Brentford game 2-2, and then we lose the 3 on the trot there to Chelsea, Man City, Arsenal, beat Burnley, beat West Ham, and then what is it? No wins in, is that 8 games?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a pretty harsh run.
Yeah, as it just occurred. I still had that transfer market thing open, and they let you do it by that. I also, obviously, everyone knows Firpo got the most yellows. Do you know who was second?
Was it still Calvin Phillips?
No, and to be honest, I don't think he was anywhere close.
This is Dan James.
No, he was joint third with Rafinha on 7.
Always good for a yellow is Dan James, and clearly good for a red as well.
And obviously, he had a red as well.
Now go on then.
Our forwards like kicking people. Rodrigo got 9.
Oh, that's what he's doing all this time then.
Yeah. Just because I really should check that. Again, now obviously this doesn't include. This isn't based on minutes and stuff because some of them are late sub appearances and stuff. But of people 10 games or more, who had the worst points per game?
Who would have been playing through all that time? Like, again, I assume Melies is going to be in there because he was obviously the constant through all that period.
Well, you have to remember, by the end of the season, we had a point per game, and Melier played all of them.
Yeah. Adam Forshaw.
It isn't Adam Forshaw. Adam Forshaw 1.12.
Yeah. Heroic
better
then
than
from
most.
him. I'm trying to think who else. Again, I'm looking at those 8 games before Bielsa went and trying to think who featured mostly in those. I'm guessing like Tyler Roberts will have played. Alex again, when did he get injured? Yeah, he gets injured in the Leicester game, so he would have been part of those.
Yeah, it's a very unlucky stat. This
is it going to be Robin Koch?
No, it's Joe Gelhardt.
Poor Joe.
Like nearly all of them are sub appearances.
Yeah.
But of people who played more than 10, it's him. The actual worst is Liam McCarran with his 1 appearance and we lost.
nice big 0.
Yeah, and and Cody Dramas is also worse. For his few appearances that he managed.
It's grim. If I'm being honest, it's grim to think about again now.
Yeah.
Just want to move on.
Well, it's always a weird one, this, because obviously we're just basically going through all of them and then seeing what comes up, basically. So, what do you think is sort of next? The thing that we sort of really need to start talking about is, what do you think we need in the summer?
Help.
Yeah.
A therapy. Yeah, we need, as I said before, I think we need someone in that sort of 23 to 26, 27 age bracket for central midfield. I think that's the position where we're really lacking sort of that middle ground of players in there.
Yeah. I don't know how old he is, but we are still being linked a bit with that Florian Grealish, who's on a free. And again, people who've seen more of him than me seem to rate him. It sounds like another one of them. They're not saying he'll be a world beater. They're saying if he's on a free, he'd be a very good addition to the squad.
Yeah. Also, I have to apologise to Adam Forshaw because I did describe him as the wrong side of 30, and he is 29.
No, but right, yeah, that might be true, but he isn't, is he? When you've had an injury like that, you have to add on a few.
Oh no, sorry, he is actually 30 now. Sorry, the age I'm looking at are their ages at the start of the season.
Is it
which points out two things to me. One, I'd forgotten that Leo Hjelde is 17 because he looks about 25.
Yeah, I think he is 18 now.
Yeah, he is 18 now. He was also born in Nottingham.
That I did know.
But
I didn't know until we signed him, and then I think I wrote something up about him, and that's when I noticed.
Because his dad, who was playing for South Korean side Busan, it's got an apostrophe, but I'm going to call them icons anyway.
Yeah.
When Leo was born in England. Which does confuse me. Like, was he... Yeah. So he was at Forest and then moved and then went back to Forest.
Yeah. So there's no point moving. There's no point moving the family with you if you're not going to be there that long.
Yeah. Yeah, you learn something new. But yeah, it's sort of as you look through the team, like I said, in that central midfield area, Calvin Phillips at 26 now, and then like Jamie Shackleton's 22, but I'm loath to call him a central midfielder at this point. Jack Jenkins is 20. Lewis Bate is 19. Where are we now? Stuart Dallas will be. He's 31 now. So yeah, it's kind of that area I think we need to address.
Yeah, we definitely need a centre mid. I mean, I'd say I think Lewis O'Brien at 10 million should be done. I think that's a good signing. And is he slightly younger than that?
Lewis O'Brien was 23.
All right. So yeah, so he's about right. He again might not start every week, and from what I saw of him, I really like what I saw. But I think that we do need another one as well. And if Phillips goes, a third one.
Yeah.
We legitimately might need 3 centre mid. If we sell Calvin Phillips, we need 3 centre mids in the summer, which is a weird thing to be looking at. We don't need a centre back.
No.
If a really good one becomes available, then you have to, because when a good player comes up in any position, you should be ready for it. But I honestly, I think we can afford to lose a centre back.
Is that centre back Diego Llorente?
If I was picking, yeah.
Yeah,
because I think he's still in the Spain squad. What did we pay? Like 17 million.
Yeah, it wasn't a huge amount.
I think we could probably get 14 back off a Spanish club. And if you sign a player for 2 years, he's been fine for 2 years, and you don't make much of a loss, you could say that's a good signing. You would say. Yeah. But I think Cresswell should be bumped up to like number 4.
Yeah, it's, like you say, it's probably one of those where if you've got the option to cash in, it's probably not the worst idea. And I don't think we need to sign anyone there. You've got Robin Koku is 26, Strike's 23, Cooper's now 30. But
I would be happy with like the 2 right-footed ones being Koch and Cresswell, and the 2 left-footed ones being Strauch and Cooper.
Yeah, I think that's fine. Then you've also got Luke Ayling who can fill in there when needed.
Yeah, he's like number 5.
And
then you've got 23s after that. Although not really sure who they're going to be now. Because
because after the last podcast where we spoke about possibly giving Noam Kenny a new deal, 20 minutes later he had signed for Hibs.
Yeah, which by the way I think is a very good move for him. If he ain't going to get a chance here, that looks like a good move. And the amount of a big deal they've made out of him on social media and stuff, it doesn't sound like they're buying him to be a youth player.
No, and I think, I think we were talking about Kennedy sort of stepping up as the lead central defender in the 23s. You know, we weren't really thinking about him progressing to the first team at this point.
No.
So
it does sound like Leeds did offer him a new deal, but he thought this was a better move. And being objective about it, it probably is.
Yeah, like you say, at this point, I don't think he's at all wrong for wanting to make a move and get some first team football. And it wasn't going to happen here. And honestly, if he's not your lead centre back in the 23s, I don't really see the sense in loaning him out.
No. So yeah, centre back's okay. I think we probably agree on this, but I think we need a right back and a left back.
Yeah. So again, there'll have to be a talk about what we do with Cody Drammer and what his role is, whether he will get a chance to go in as a first choice right back or.
Well, one thing that should be good for him, like Ayling's been injured and he might make it back for pre-season, but he's not going to be right by the start of the season. And Dallas is still going to be out. And Shackleton is Shackleton. So even if we sign a right back, especially like this guy from Salzburg, you would think at the very least at the start of the season, for a bit, Drammer is going to be on the bench in the first team squad. And we'll have 5 subs, so you'd think he'll get on a fair bit.
Yeah, you'd hope so. And then the other side of that is you've got Firpo and Stuart Dallas, who would be our 2 left backs.
And Dallas is probably out till Christmas.
Yeah, so at that point, your next in line is Hjelde or
yeah, it's Hjelde and it's Struijk and Hjelde are the other ones. And Struijk, perfectly service. If I've said it with quite a few games, if we're playing a team that's a lot better than us, I'm fine with Struijk as left back. I think he's quite solid, but I don't think that he's a centre back. He isn't a left back. Hjelde, when I first saw him, I assumed he was a centre back, but the more I've watched of him, the more I think, oh no, he might actually make a left back. But no matter what, when I look at all of them, Firpo included, I think we need a new first choice left back.
Yeah. Which does make me think that, again, whether Firpo is likely to want to sit around as a backup left back here.
No, I don't think, no one based off this season is going to come in and buy him. Maybe a Spanish club would take him on loan with a view to a permanent.
Yeah.
That might be doable. I think Firpo gets a tiny bit more stick than he deserves because he gets hatred, and I don't think there's a lack of effort there. But he isn't. But he isn't good enough. I'd love nothing more than him to be brilliant next season and prove us all wrong, but I just don't see it. So yeah, probably need. So at the minute we've got a full back for each side and 2 to 3 central midfielders.
Yeah.
So we're already on 4 or 5. We've signed Brendan Aronson, who's sort of a narrowish 10. That sort of player. We probably need another one of them.
Yeah, again.
Well, as options to play there now are Rodrigo, who I wouldn't mind if he left. Who I'd like to keep and has shown he can play that position. And I suppose then you can play Greenwood or Gelhardt there as well. And Matthias Klick probably could play there or play centre mid. But either way, you'd think Klick probably doesn't want to be starting much next season.
Yeah, I think that's one of the issues with players at the point in Klick's career that he's at, where if he wants to get a few more years of first team football, I don't begrudge him it.
No.
But, ideally for me, he would be off the bench most of the time.
Yeah. I'd quite like him to be here another season. I just don't want him starting quite as much. He's a good enough player. I just don't think he's. We've had. Once you've done 2 seasons, you need to try and kick on. and he isn't going to let you kick on. He's just going to be solid.
Yeah.
He'll be absolutely fine. I don't think at any point he'd cause a problem. I don't think he'd cause a problem in a team a lot better than ours. I think he'd be fine in that too. But he'll just be fine. So yeah, I think we could probably do with another 10. We've been linked a bit with Morgan Gibbs-White from Wolves because they're not giving him a chance. He's had a loan at he was on loan at Sheffield United one and did really well this season by all accounts. I wouldn't mind that. We don't really need a winger. Oh, Dan James is the other one because obviously he can play striker, he can play as that 10. Again, off the bench, fine. But we don't need a winger if he decides to play with width, which he won't do most of the time.
Yeah.
Even when Rafinha goes, you've still got Harrison, James, Somerville. So you don't really need a winger.
No, I don't think so.
And I think Somerville could be the one. If one of them's going to have a Gelhardt season, it'll be Somerville. Because he quite likes playing a bit more in field. So I'd be interested to see that. And then I think we need a striker as well.
Yeah. Again,
and more Bamford mould striker. Someone to do that job who isn't Bamford. Because you need to.
I mean, so again, you've got Gelhardt and Greenwood who can kind of go in there. And then you've got Rodrigo who said, I don't think we'd mind if he moved on. And Tyler Roberts.
I had totally forgotten Tyler Roberts existed, which is my fault. He's with the injury. I mean, it was amazing to see him at Brentford because no one saw that coming.
Yeah, obviously the Leeds United finale of injuries of Bamford being fit enough to play, but then testing positive for COVID. But again, one of those appearing on the bench where it very much felt like if we're putting Tyler Roberts on, things must be desperate.
Yeah. So what's that? We need a right back, a left back, at least 2 centre mids, probably another 10, and a striker. And I think if we're going to develop Klassen into anything, we probably need to send him out on loan. So we probably need a more experienced second choice keeper who isn't Kiko Casilla.
Yeah, that's my slight concern actually is that with Marsh being fresh back, he's fresh in and Casilla coming in afterwards, that he might be willing to keep him around the squad. Yeah.
Although he's still on massive wages, isn't he? So you'd think the club will just want him rid as well. I know it's less massive in the Premier League, but it's still big wages.
I assume he would have a nice wage rise when we got promoted.
Yeah.
I'm just looking to see if there's anyone whose contract's expiring that'd be kind of worth a look at, but it's also trying to.
He's not good enough with his feet, but depending on how Marsh wants to play, I could see it being someone like, although it's not actually be him, I could see it being someone like Ben Foster. Just come in and be second choice and sit on bench.
Well, you got Fraser Forster. He's been linked with Spurs.
He's off to Spurs. I think that's pretty much done.
You've got Alex McCarthy. It's coming up. There's a few of these that I'm trying not to really mention because there's like Samir Handanovic is there.
Yeah.
Who I don't think we're getting.
Like there was a lot of Leeds fans, and I think we mentioned this last week because it was in comments, saying now they've got relegated, go for Nick Pope. But I've got enough faith in Meslier that I don't particularly want to sign a first choice keeper, which is what Pope would be.
Yeah. Is there anyone else on here that's... No, there's not really anyone that I particularly know of well enough anyway. That
no. I think
you got David Ospina there, who he's 33.
Yeah, not for. I don't particularly rate him. The interesting one in
Andre
terms of
Onana, get him in as backup.
the interesting one for actual, because Onana's off to like Inter, isn't he, or something?
Yeah.
If the interesting goalkeeper that I'm wondering where he'll go. That's on a free is Sam Johnson at West Brom.
Yeah, 29 as well, so he's still got a fair while in him.
But I think he'll go somewhere where he'll play.
Ooh. Experienced goalkeeper, doesn't mind being a number 2 on a free. Adrian.
Yeah. Did you see the thing that Phil Hay said that apparently in January we tried to get Darren Randolph?
Okay.
To like come in on loan and be second choice.
Yeah. Just to have.
Well, they had
someone with some experience there.
Well, because he was still at West Ham, wasn't he? Oh, was he at Middlesbrough by this point? I can't remember. But yeah, I think there was already 2 goalkeepers ahead of him, so it would have been moving up the food chain for him. But it'll be interesting to see what we bring in. I don't think anything will happen now for a couple of weeks. It'll probably quieten off a bit, and we'll see what happens, because we've got the run of like it's international games coming up, haven't we? In the
yeah. Sorry, I'm still looking through goalkeepers as well.
Like the Scotland-Ukraine game in the playoffs is tomorrow. Ooh. So Cooper will be in the squad. I don't know if he'll be involved. And I think Wales play tomorrow night as well. I'm assuming. I mean, they will have picked James. I'm assuming they didn't pick Tyler Roberts with him just getting back to the bench.
I'm almost certain they didn't, but it'd speak of a worrying situation if they have picked him anyway. Oh God, it still lists their manager as being Ryan Giggs.
Yeah. So I think that what that comes down to is that we think we need a lot. We've mentioned Llorente and Rodrigo. We'd probably both be all right if they went, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of people with there's a lot of people who have kind of, I don't want to say turned on Llorente, but I think the problem is a slight lack of reliability about him. Whereas I felt this season, like strike stipping form has been more confidence related than anything else.
The thing with Llorente is I'm not like desperate for him to go. It's not like, oh God, get him out, whatever it takes. I just think out of the options we have in that area, the amount of money you could get, I think he's probably the best one to go. Rodrigo, it just ain't working. He's still highly rated in Spain, so you'll probably get something back for someone his age. That's fine. Is there anyone else who we should be looking to get rid of? I mean, first name that comes into my head is Jamie Shackleton, because that kid needs to go play football.
Yeah, I think when you say looking to get rid of is probably, it makes it sound a lot harsher than it is.
Go get a championship club and play.
Yeah, go get some first team football. Firpo? It is Firpo, isn't it?
I'd be all right with that. Again, if we can sign a left back. Because if we don't sign a left back, he's still first choice next season.
And then I think the other ones, because last time we went through, didn't we, some of the players that are on loan, and it's Costa has got to go. Casillas got to go.
Yeah.
Just if for no other reason, just to get them off the wages at this point.
So it sounds like we're both expecting a fair bit of upheaval, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think there will be a bit of turnaround certainly in that central midfield area as well. You know, we should hopefully see a few players come in. The worrying thing is, and I suppose it depends on if and when Phillips go. Do you want to be losing 5 players who were typically starting week in, week out for you?
You probably don't. As I said, There is a number where I think selling Phillips is the right thing to do. But if we don't hit that number, then I'd also be saying, give him a new contract.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want him to go, but there is a number where, because he's the right age and he's English, there is a chance that Man City will give us 60 million quid for him. And I just think if we scout properly, I think you can probably get another one of him and have 30 odd million left over. Like, it's not as simple as that. Obviously, nothing is, but I think you can do it if you do it well. And it's just whether we can do it well.
Yeah, we were talking last night about the 7 players that came in that summer at Spurs when Gareth Bale left. I know some of those actually came in before, but I think at that point they would have had a fair idea of where the money was going. And of those 7 players, there was only one that really did anything. I say really did anything for them. That's a bit harsh on Christian Eriksen. There was one of them was good, and the rest of them,
yeah, like Lamella was fine, but
and
the 30 million they paid for him at the time was like paying 60 now.
Yeah, and the problem for us is that we are going to lose, or we are likely to lose, one of our best players, possibly 2 of them.
Yeah, I'm like, throughout all of this, I'm already just assuming Rafinha's gone.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, you can't say for the position we're in that we need to buy someone as good as him, because it's not that easy. But we need to buy players who are good. Like they need to be good transfers and good replacements. As daft as that sounds, because that's what you want every transfer to be. Given the season we've just had, we can't afford to get this wrong now, because if we get it wrong, having escaped by the skin of our teeth, it's relegation.
Yeah, that's true. Like, this is such a massive summer. They've got we don't need that thing of someone as good as Rafinha. You're not going to get anyone maybe as good, but there will be others like that. Players that are going to cost around 20 million quid who are actually 50 million pound players. And it'd just be they say they want to be like Leicester. Well, Leicester have found a few of them. And we need to.
Yeah.
We need to. I mean, he wasn't even cheap, but we need to be finding a player who turns out to be Tielemans. You need someone like that in the middle of the park, and hopefully we can find one.
Yeah, I have found myself now going down the dark hole of who we just all players that are now will be going on a free transfer. So there's some interesting names on there, but at the same time, trying to remain realistic about who we could feasibly attract and who would also fit.
Yeah. I mean, what you really want to be looking at, based on what I've seen, is anyone who's American, anyone who's played under Jesse Marsh, anyone who we've been linked with before, and of course, crucially, it's Victor Orta, anyone who's left-footed.
Yeah.
Because we have been linked. There was also a link with that Castellanos at New York City, wasn't there? Who I don't watch enough of the MLS to know. Again, it's another one of them where people are saying he's much better than the MLS. Whether that translates, I won't know, but we'll see. This has ended up being a long pod, which I didn't expect it to be. To be honest, I very much thought that it'd be a short one.
But we made it. That's the important part.
So, yeah, that will do us for episode 160 at Mighty White's podcast. I aren't actually sure when we'll next be back. It sort of depends what happens in the next week. If there's stuff to talk about, we'll do one. If there isn't, we probably won't.
Yeah. We're back. What's happened? Nothing.
Because otherwise, it's just not...
It's Danny Welbeck watch.
I mean, we could do worse. We could do a lot better.
Yeah.
Right, cool. So yeah, that'll do us. So I've been Jax here.
I've been Casey. Have a good one.